Baltimore, in the Key Bridge's first years. A container ship loses its steering 100 yards out and strikes Pier 17. The protection around the pier crushes and stops it. The bridge holds. It is rebuilt exactly as before. 44 years later, a ship 10 times heavier, the same water, the same pier. Start in 1980. A freighter lost control in Tampa Bay and struck a pier of the Sunshine Skyway bridge. 1,200 feet of roadway fell into the water. A bus went with it. 35 people died. From that morning came one demand. Bridges in shipping lanes must survive being hit. That same year in Baltimore, a container ship lost its steering 600 yards from the Key Bridge and struck Pier 17. It weighed a tenth of the ship that would come later. The timber and concrete around the pier crushed, stopped it, and were rebuilt, exactly as before. Everyone moved on. 11 years later, the standards arrived. A method to work out one number, the chance in any given year that a bridge collapses because a ship hits it. New bridges had to be built to it. Older bridges were exempt, but their owners were urged to run the number anyway. Maryland sat on the committees that wrote it. Maryland never ran the number for the Key Bridge. March 2006. A meeting room at the Port of Baltimore. The Harbor Safety Committee is discussing pier protection because a ship has just struck another Maryland bridge. A state representative explains that the local bridges predate '91, so the guidelines do not apply. Then, the harbor pilots speak, the men who steer these ships under that bridge every day. And the minutes record the answer from the bridge's own authority. The Key Bridge was not designed to withstand contact by a large vessel. That line stayed in the file. Pier protection stayed on the agenda as an open item for 18 more years, while the ships kept getting bigger. 25 minutes past 1, on the 26th of March, 2024. A container ship almost 1,000 feet long is leaving Baltimore Harbor when everything goes dark. One loose wire. The engine stops. The steering stops. 1 minute after the lights go out, the pilot is on the phone, telling a dispatcher to close the bridge. Police cars at both ends pull across the lanes. 48 seconds before impact, the deck is clear. But 7 road workers and an inspector are still up there on a night shift. Nobody has a way to reach them. Their only link to the police is a phone number exchanged by hand. At 29 minutes past 1, the ship strikes Pier 17 with more than 4 times the force that pier could hold. 13 seconds later, the center of the bridge is in the river. 6 of the road workers died. Now the honest part. The people who could act that night did act. The report is clear that stopping the traffic prevented a far greater loss of life. And it found that if the crew on the deck had been told when the police were told, they would have had 1 minute and 16 seconds to reach a part of the bridge that did not fall. Nobody broke a rule. The calculation was never mandatory. No agency could compel it, and Maryland was not alone. Investigators found 68 bridges across the country in deep water shipping lanes built before the standard, none recently checked. Their owners, the report says, were likely unaware of the risk. So the warning here is not a memo somebody buried. It is a number nobody was obliged to calculate, sitting in that book for 33 years. The federal report puts the consequence in one clause, quote, "The lack of countermeasures to reduce the bridge's vulnerability to collapse, which could have been implemented if a vulnerability assessment had been conducted by the Maryland Transportation Authority. A replacement is already drawn. Higher, wider, its piers built to today's standard, and the old bridge's number now exists." It took an afternoon. Warned, 1991. It happened March 26th, 2024. 33 years. This drawing stays unfinished. Somewhere right now, someone is being ignored. The memo before the fire. The calculation before the collapse. If you want to hear those warnings, subscribe and tell me in the comments, which ignored warning should I open next?